Hey everyone, how's it going? We're here at the Profit Acceleration Software Q&A call. I'm here with Carl Bryan. Carl, are you here today?
Yo, yo, yo. I'm here, buddy. How you doing, man?
Oh, what a day. What a day. Because I tell you, I'm in heaven here. I'm creating more software, creating stuff.
You
And
guys, Pat gets very excited when he's left to his own devices to play with software. This might be somewhat surprising to you, but it's absolutely no surprise to me. But he truly gets, his wife might be the most disappointed person ever because she's jealous of the software again. That was weird. That was weird, Pat. That's okay. What the hell? It's kind of weird, dude. We're going to weird. We're 3 minutes in, man, and we're going to weird already. What do you think?
wow. Yeah, anyway, you guys, hey, yeah, the purpose of the call today is to answer questions. This is called a Q&A. One party asks questions, the other party answers them. That would be us. So we might ask questions to you, and then we'll reverse the roles, and you guys.
Yeah. Actually, you know what, Pat? Let's do. That's what we're going to do. So from now on, when we don't get questions, because what invariably happens, here's what happens, guys. You've been on a few of these, I would imagine, or if you haven't, here's what plays out. We get very few questions for the first 15 minutes. So Pat and I need to spitball ball a little bit, and get creative, yada, yada, yada. And then the questions start, and then they're like bang, 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 bang. So what's going to happen, Pat? We'll ask them questions. That's it.
Yeah.
Hard ones,
Well,
man. Like we're talking calculus, about algorithms within Google. We'll ask them maybe some political. What did you think of the debate the other night? So if you don't ask questions, this is the direction this whole thing's going to go. So there you go. Sound good? All right, folks. All right. Enough mucking about. All right. The beautiful, beautiful Christine was very active with us. Christine, we love you. You're awesome. Oh, look at this. Yes, I will. Okay, cool. So, Christine, we are coming for you. You are muted, my love. There you are. Christine, you are live.
Thank you. And I always have a question. I come prepared.
Good.
We're impressed. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I like to take advantage, like get my money's worth. I actually got an appointment today with a real estate investor to go through the PAS with him next Thursday.
Nice.
So, yeah, he kind of asked for it. He had from my signature on my email. He went to my website and he went to the e-learning center. He said he was really, really impressed and he wished he'd had that years ago. So So when I offered to show him around and do an assessment with him, he was all for it. So my question for you is, what are your suggestions on how I start? Because I've done the PAS with myself, practicing, but I haven't done it with a real client or prospect yet. So what would you suggest? How would you suggest I start or do?
Pat, you want to lead us off, buddy?
Well, so Christine, are you comfortable doing the PAS, the assessment? Do you feel like you're ready for a live audience now, like the real thing?
Well, I think so. Because I find it very intuitive. And it just seems to sort of flow, so it doesn't, the actually doing it doesn't really cause me any concerns. Now, maybe the only part that might is that whole part about, pausing the screen so that they have they're frozen on one screen, on the summary maybe, and then while I go through one of the areas with them. Now, maybe because I haven't actually practiced that, I practiced pausing the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something to practice with?
I will find someone.
I mean, for sure. Yeah, I would definitely do that because you want to be really comfortable doing it. You want to have done it several times. Even put sticky notes on your computer to just remind yourself to pause and unpause, whatever it takes, right? You want to be able to make sure you get that right. asking the questions, can you see my screen? What are you seeing now? Things like that, just to make sure you're on the same screen. And he's following.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just make sure you're comfortable, and then, Carl, what do you think? What's the next step?
Yeah, I think get comfortable and yeah, just look. What are they? Sorry, real estate investor. That's the unit. That's the category.
Yep.
Yeah. When you say real estate investor, do you know a little bit more? I mean, that could be a multitude of different things.
Yeah, he's actually just signed up with a guy. He's in Florida. And he's just signed up with a guy to work with him. He's fairly new to real estate investing.
Yep.
And what they do is, what are they called? They buy homes that where somebody has to sell right away.
Foreclosure, yeah, something like that.
Foreclosures, yeah. So it's that area, yeah. And I think sometimes they buy stuff. They're on auction and then they flip them, fix them up, and then flip them.
Yep.
And they do some weird to own stuff.
With fear of going in a different direction, first of all, let him know that I hate everything about his business model, and there's a really good chance that he's going to go belly up. And let me tell you why. House flippers always get caught. Like, Warren Buffett talks about, you don't know who's swimming with no swimming suit on until the tide goes out type of thing. I'm messing that up, but the idea.
Yeah.
Guys like that, if he doesn't have deep pockets and he doesn't have people around him with deep pockets, what happens is something like the economy takes a little bit of a bump. It always happens right at the worst time when he made his biggest investment. And so anyway, if they're undercapitalized, it can go a little bit hairy, but I don't know that that's the kind of advice you're looking for right now, but just make sure that the guy knows what he's doing. Cause it more often, if you just, and by the way, don't listen to what I'm saying, do your homework on house flippers and see how often it works out well. It always looks amazing for like a period of, call it 1, 2, 3 years. And then all of a sudden they get caught. Right. And it can also get caught with a robbery. It's a fire. The wrong paperwork and the insurance isn't covered. They're just playing with some big numbers. So it's a very common thing to do. And it's a very common thing to get caught out and it's real estate. And again, everybody listening here, and Christine, you for sure heard me talk about how, like, if there's a room of 100 people and then they're thinking about starting a business and I give them each piece of paper and a pen and I go, write down the 3 businesses that you're most interested in starting, at least 80%, if not 95% of the audience will have real estate as one of their top 3, right? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think we can all agree that's a horrific thing, right? So an example that I would give is like, and I have many times, is like a cleaning company that nobody would think of as a good business. But again, my neighbor lived 3 doors down. The guy's 27 years old and has a $350,000 Lamborghini, right? What do they own? A cleaning company. Why is a cleaning company a great business? Because repeat business equals profit. So remember that when you speak to him, you want to know repeat business equals profit. Show me the back end. And probably he has no back end where his plan is, I'm going to buy these houses that are vulnerable. I'm going to fix them up because I'm a carpenter or whatever it is, or my buddy's a carpenter, my partner's a carpenter. We're going to go in and add a garage and do this, that. Like when you're fixing up a house, you want to do 2 things. You want to add a room and add a bathroom. And you immediately increase the rent and you increase the value of the house, like instantaneously. So that's the ideal scenario. Sometimes you can. And by the way, tell him that. Okay, I'll put you in a good position. What was I saying? So like a back end, he probably doesn't have it. So like a business with like a really strong back end, which is cleaning, as an example, right? Like whoever, like nobody says, you know what, even in bad times, you know what, I think I'm going to start cleaning the toilets around here. You got to go without the janitorial services. That's not happening, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and then by the way, I'm going down probably a separate track than what you planned here, but that these are things that I would like, because ultimately knowledge, remember, you would have read my email that I sent out today. One of the things I said, like, if I was debating somebody, one of the tactics that I would have is I would go into a rant like I'm going in now where I'd educate everybody. because everybody loves the educator. Like, you just line up kids and say, who's your favorite person on planet Earth? And outside of their mom and their dad, there will always be a teacher in there, just always, or not always, but pretty much, right? So, educate people. So if you're able to take what I'm listening to, these recordings go up, you know what I mean, and go into that conversation with kind of this, I think you'll be in a good position to be able to, get him as a client. And it might not be, the ideal client coach relationship, because you might be steering him in a slightly different direction or helping, potentially protecting him. But that's one you'll need to kind of work out. So, anyway, is that another thing actually that I would encourage you to write on your notepad right now, like when I'm speaking to him? A house flipper, or anybody for that matter, no matter if I buy and sell anything, and that's really all a house flipper is, it's buying and selling. If I buy and sell toasters, I do garage sales, I do real estate, it's buying and selling. Very importantly, the money is made when you buy, not when you sell, but when you buy. Of course, you can add some percentage points and some money in your bank account if you're good at the selling and you can get top dollar. But just think of a real estate transaction. How much is it gonna, how much easier is it for me to go in and buy and negotiate $50,000 off the buying price versus negotiate $50,000 extra on the selling price, right? It's kind of straightforward. It's not a $50,000 gap. It's what feels like a $500,000 gap, because one is so much easier than the other. So the real money in buying and selling, which house flipping is in buying. And I hope that they have a really good strategy. And you've probably heard the old, people buy on emotion more than, you know what I mean? They don't buy on facts and logic. They buy on emotion. And if you are a house flipper and you don't have that well and truly under control, as an example, they used to live in a specific area, so they got a higher level of emotion towards that area. This is a bad thing.
Right.
So anyway, so that again, that's really important. Whether, and maybe they recognize that, no doubt they recognize it, but whether they consciously have it on the level that I just described it, and if I look at their business plan and I look at their strategic game plan, if that's in bold, italicized, and underlined, I would dare say probably not. Because you'll say that to me, oh yeah, for sure. But when I look at the last 6 houses that they bought, I go, well, this was, you know what I mean? You didn't buy very well here, guys. So anyway, so that's another little piece of magic that I would bring. Now, as far as the software goes, obviously a little bit of this stuff, you know what I mean? This isn't directly, it's not like I'm going to go through the profit acceleration software with this, because really, you got to understand, a real estate investor is a little bit different than, going in and helping a chiropractor, a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. It's a little bit unique. So I think what I would do is I would spend some time. Step number one is always research. I would research, their LinkedIn profiles, research their website, research as much as you can about these individuals before you get there, because then that's going to prepare you with, what they're actually looking to accomplish and what they do or do not have in place, because you mentioned he's pretty new at it. So I would do that, and then I would use that data to kind of arm me as I go through the 12 sections on the software to say, okay, well, where am I going to go here? You know what I mean? Which sections am I going to, you know what I mean? Which section am I going to go into? And, right. Compelling offer, what's his offer going to be? You think he's the only guy out there looking for foreclosed houses, right? Give me a break. And there's guys with about, again, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, doing the same thing. So why is he going to be able to close on these deals and somebody else isn't? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, he's working with a guy. He's just signed up with a guy that he's calling a coach, but he's
calling what? Sorry.
He's just signed up with a guy that he is calling a coach, but he's another investor.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
This investor apparently has access to thousands of foreclosures, and he works for a big company, so he has lots of money. And you might think he has lots of money because he works for a big company, but not necessarily true.
100%. Yeah.
So he's working with this guy, but because I've done a little bit of real estate investing myself and kind of know firsthand, that the situation might be that the coach has connected with the guy I'm meeting with to use his money for the investment, if you know what I mean.
Yep. I think there's a decent chance. I mean, like, again, if you look at that dynamic, what you need there, like, you need a guy with money and a guy with time. Okay. Like, that's a really good, and plenty of people have too much money and not enough time, and plenty of people have not enough money and plenty of time. Those two tend to go pretty well in, hand in hand. So, as far as a partnership, that's an example of a duo that could do really well if they've got both of those, like one guy pounding the pavement and sweat equity, and the other guy, willing to write a check at the bat of an eyelid if the right deal slid across his desk. So do they have the right partnership in place? There's the saying, the hardest ship to steer is a partnership. So again, I hope he's picked really wisely, with his partnership, because that's, again, another place where I could see it all going sideways.
Yeah. So is there, because it is real estate investing, when I was thinking about this, it's like, is there any particular area that, because I'm probably not going to get through all 12, is there any particular area that
compelling? I'd like to know what his offer is, because there's a lot of others doing it. Drilling down on his ideal client, right? So we'd go into kind of, market dominating position comes from understanding, who your ideal client is, and then, solving a problem on their behalf. So I'd like to know how he's going to be different. Most definitely lead generation. I think, Pat just opened it up. There you go. Lead generation. Joint ventures. Like, again, he could go to a realtor and form a joint venture with a guy who's out there and, been looking at deals for the last 10 years. Additional products and services, most definitely, because, again, if the problem is a house flipper, it's a one-off deal. You make great money on individual, you make great money, but unfortunately, it's transactions every once in a while, and then nothing on the back end usually. So additional products and services, okay, so I've got a buddy. He where Pat and I live in Kelowna. He owns I can't think of the name of the company, but he manages, I've got no idea, but I'm going to say he'll refer to them as doors, right? So he manages 5,000 doors, and it might be far more, and it might be a little bit less, but he's got a legitimate, going concern going on, right? Where when I say manages the doors, so he collects the rent and farts around and, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Well, I immediately said to him, I said, well, you've got X 5,000 doors. I go, man, on the side, I would be thinking about starting a cleaning company and a lawn mowing company immediately, right? And then potentially franchise it or, take on a bunch of staff, whatever it is. But if you've got 5,000 doors, I got no idea who lives behind those doors, but I'd be amazed if 500, if not 2,000 of them would love a cleaner, would love a landscaper. And you've got their phone number and a reason to contact them, yada, 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 and their contact information. I'd be doing that straight away. So he did. In fact, I literally saw him at Craft, 2 months ago, and bingo, bango, bongo. Guess what? He's got one of them. I think it was the landscaping company going, and to say the numbers are good and it's a natural would be like an understatement. So that's an example of, it's not additional products and services black and white, but it's fundamentally the same. I suppose it is, but he structured it a little bit differently, and I encouraged him to, but there you go.
And what do you mean, Carl, when you say the back end specifically?
The back end. So, okay, the back end is, we're just on cleaning company. So I am a cleaning company. I could come in once and do a commercial clean and then never come back again, or I could come in and get a 3-year contract to come in every single week on Friday, or every night, every week, every month at a specific time, and do the cleaning. So I get a contract as opposed to a one-off sale and then got to sell you again, right? So if I was going to mow your lawn, I wouldn't show up and mow your lawn, leave, and then send you a bill. I would knock on your door and say, okay, so the grass isn't going to stop growing, so why don't I come every Tuesday at 2:00? And this will be the discounted rate, but I'm going to come every Tuesday at 2, or every second Tuesday at 2:00, whatever you prefer. That's the back end.
Right. Okay.
And, on top of that as well, the back end would be I'm going to come out and they're going to give you a service to clean your windows at your house and do your gutters and trim your hedges and things like that. Or you could even go into painting, exterior painting. And it's not maybe something you provide, but it's something that someone provides for you. So it's that entire array of products or services that you can deliver to the client once you've got that initial contract.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
That help?
Okay, so this is going to be interesting conversation. Like, I don't.
Yeah, live and learn. It's all good. Yeah, just go at it. You can't fail. You can only learn, right? But have some mojo, and don't be shy. Kind of gotta your inner alpha woman, right? Put on your superwoman suit underneath there. And you know what I mean? Like, don't be shy to direct traffic and kind of talk the way I'm talking, right? Like, well, remember, standing against will get far more attention than standing for, right? So when I go to my Facebook page and I say that anybody shouting out multiple streams of income is either trying to sell you a book or a program. You know what I mean? Carry on, ... You know what I mean? You see how I'm standing against people shouting multiple streams of income, and lots of people think multiple streams of income is a great idea, right? I happen to think that it's a horrific idea, and I bet you can't name a single person who has done it well. If they didn't build a really successful company, and let's just call successful a $5 million company, then it's time to go multiple streams of income. Somebody who does it too early, all they do is spread their focus, and we all know the end result of that is not a great idea. But this is not, and clearly there's people who have done it. It's not a black and white statement, but I put it out there as a black and white statement, and it is something that I personally believe, right? Like, I think multiple streams of income are for people who are, want to earn a whole very small amount of money, right? So I'm standing against. Why am I saying that to you? When you're speaking to them, when you stand, you know what I mean? You say some of the things that I've been describing here in terms of, well, you realize most house flippers go broke, right? Because they're undercapitalized. So tell me, how do you plan to combat that? And you see how you just put them on the back foot by, I don't know if that's standing against, but it's, you know what I mean? It's basically standing against, and I feel like you'll earn their respect, and they're going to start listening when you speak in those terms, versus the average coach wants to sing Kumbaya, and they show up and, oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing. I can't wait to get started. We're going to make so much money. Oh, you're not even going to recognize this place. Oh my gosh, everybody jump up and down and clap hands here, right? Like, that's the opposite. And it's not that you don't do any of that, because you most definitely do, but you need to have it. It can't all be Kumbaya. And if you were to pick one or the other, the standing against gets significantly more attention. I don't know that respect is the right word, but the attention and the, okay, she knows what she's talking about, kind of response, versus, oh, this is, geez, a joint venture is really going to be amazing for you. And you should be saying that, and that should be in there, but the standing against should also be littered throughout your conversation. And I've just given you a whole bunch of standing against stuff for real estate investors that I think you could take into that conversation and lift their eyebrows.
Right. Okay. Thanks. One quick last one. When I start off the conversation, should I ask him questions about, more specifically about what he wants to know or why he's doing this? Or
no. Sorry, Pat. Could you hit introduction for me, please? There's your questions right there. Boom.
Oh,
why do you
gotcha.
start your business? When did you start your business? What role do you play? The most important question, number 5. As soon as he answers number 5, I could pretty much close up my books and go home. Actually, no. I'd close my books, close him, and then go home. Of course, I don't. You still go through the process. But when he answers that, he tells me his biggest problems. In 90 minutes from now, that's the exact wording and the exact things that I say, well, look, here's what we're going to do. And I can tell you that the biggest problems he's going to have, it's going to be systems. It's going to be system, sales, staff, and I'm forgetting one, maybe sales, marketing, systems, and staff. It's going to be around those 4. I almost categorically guarantee it. So when at the end, that's what I close you on. I use those problems that you outlined 90 minutes ago, because I make specific. You got to really, like, remember when Elvis died, you knew exactly where you were, or when Jackson died, we knew exactly where we were, or Princess Diana. when I ask them that questions, I go into hyper alert mode. And whatever they say, I do not forget for the next 90 minutes. If you came and put me to sleep, I'd wake up and the first thing that would come to me would be those three, the answer to that question.
Okay, perfect.
It's great.
Thanks.
Pat, before we,
Okay.
what do you think? Anything you'd add?
No, I just got a funny story about back end, what a back end is.
Whoa, settle down, shoot. No. Where's this going to go? Run, Pat. Let me hear it, man.
Well, it's actually a true story. One of my friends, I was living in San Francisco at the time, about 30 years ago, and he was a proctologist.
Hey.
Oh, dear.
Imagine the ongoing business he had there. So that's a back end.
There we go. We've officially gone into the sewer. There you go. Well done.
Okay,
I love it.
Okay.
I love doing this with Pat. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Man of my heart. Okay, Christine, great job. Appreciate the question. Going to put you back on mute. And we need some more questions here, folks. Hopefully that was
Brian
helpful.
Whitworth has a question.
Yeah, I see that. Yo, where's Brian? Brian, you are self-muted, my buddy.
And thanks for waiting, being patient.
Yes. Okay, Brian, you're self-muted, man. You got to unmute yourself, pal. One day I'll have to learn how to do that so I can give you instructions, but I think it just says it right there on you've got a control panel, Brian, on I believe it should be on the right-hand side or at the top. What's that, Pat?
I can tell you. He says, Carl, can you do a recap of how you would present Software 3.0 to a prospect?
Oh, there we go. When in doubt, just read the question. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
I want to bring this up before you answer that.
Yeah, sure.
Brian, and for others, if you go back into the recordings of this presentation or this Q&A call, especially back earlier in June, you see things like, here's one June 23rd. So Carl explains the difference between using the Jumpstart, the Breakthrough 40. Carl explains how he'd position the close. Carl gives some tips on how to ask questions and close clients. This, and we haven't indexed everything, but we've indexed a lot of it. There's just a lot of useful information here. These timestamps on the side are general, like approximate, because I'm taking notes as we're going here, and I'm trying to just do my best, but I'm not getting it down to the second. So approximately at the 3-minute mark of June 30th, we have Carl clarifies the importance of curiosity and certainty. So Brian, you could go back to all of these. You could listen to these again. Find exactly what you need to, the answers you need in here as well. But Carl, if you want to tackle his question, go for it.
Yep.
It might be again.
I will, buddy. I will be good to have Brian. Brian is in Geelong, Australia, by the way. So if you guys, Geelong, Australia, where is that? If you've ever seen one of my favorite movies, which is Point Break with Johnny Utah. By the way, I've nicknamed one of my good buddies Johnny Utah here. But anyway, so Johnny Utah, but where he lives is basically a 20-minute drive. If we opened him up, he would tell us, but about 20 minutes from, what was it called? Bell's Beach, where they did at the very end of the movie where Patrick Swayze went and got swept away, I think, surfing or whatever happened. That's Bell's Beach, and that's where Brian is. So we opened him up. That was what he would tell us. But let me give it a crack. And again, I'm freestyling this, and you'll see me do it another time. And I'm guessing, again, I'll do it a little bit, or maybe even a lot differently here. But the bottom line is I make it pretty straightforward. If you could, can you scroll up for me, please, buddy, so I can see the top of the screen?
Yep. Oh, I paused my screen.
Oh,
Can you
there
see
you
it?
go. That's cool. I can. Yeah. Can you make your screen a little bit smaller? Is that could you just make it a little so I can see more?
I'm not sure if I can.
No, it's fine. It's all good. Okay. So what am I doing? There you go. Beauty. That's perfect. Thank you. So freestyling, no pressure. But anyway, so okay, it's Brian, right?
Yeah.
So Brian, here we go. This is Profit Acceleration software. By the way, Brian's been a client for 10 years. I don't mean that to be his name's Brian, isn't it? But I was just getting into freestyle mode here. But Brian, so I'm sitting down. So it's like, hey, Brian, here's the scoop. We've got Profit Acceleration software. You'll see we got 497 million weighted algorithmic sequences. So what we're going to do is take your business. We're going to rip it through 12 specific areas to work with any business. You could have made 200 grand last year, $2 million, $2 million last year, $20 million. We'd still go to the exact same 12 areas. So if you see on the left, now could you highlight, Pat, for me, cut cost to market dominating position? So basically you'll see on the left-hand side here, I've got these specific 12 areas, which I'm just going to highlight. There you go. Just pretend he highlighted them, guys. Market dominating position to cut costs, right? There we go. Boom. So those are the 12 specific areas. We rip them through. What we're going to be able to do is I can find any business owner 100 grand in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar in marketing or advertising. In fact, what I normally say is when I meet a small business, I tell them I'm going to find them 10 grand in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar in marketing or advertising. But truth be told, I've never sat with a business owner and never found them 100 grand. And I'd be amazed if it would be any different for you or if it would be any different for your clients. So depending if Brian is a JB, which he happens to be an accountant, by the way, so an accountant or a specific client, but it'd be basically the same conversation. So the way we do that is we go through each of those specific areas. We're going to find specific breakthrough opportunities that are very legitimately going to put money in clients' bank accounts. So what I do then is after I've gone through it, I can do it in 30 minutes. I like to take a little bit longer. So although I say 45 minutes, I like to book 90 minutes. So if somebody has any questions, I can handle all those. So once I've established the breakthrough opportunities and the small incremental improvements in multiple areas of the business, I would then take them into priorities. Hit priorities for me, please, Pat. So we go into priorities, and we get weighted algorithms built throughout the software. And basically what I do is I itemize here. You'll see time to implement. And basically the weighted algorithm is going to bring to the top the more impactful stuff, like what we need to do at the beginning. And then it's, going to be in chronological order. If there's 12 areas we're going to impact, it'd be 1 through 12, depending upon urgency and opportunity, very quickly. Once I do that, I would hit the next button, implementation, please. I would hit implementation, and then what's going to happen is we're going to pump out a roadmap. Super important here. What I really want you to understand, like, just a very funny story. When I was in high school, I remember the day that I went into grade 10, I entered high school, and what happened is I got the answers at the back of the book. I wasn't the greatest student in the world, but I was a pretty smart guy. So once they gave me the answers at the back of the book, I could go to the question, and then I could go to the answer, and it kind of gave me the A and B point, and I could work out the line in between. But when they sent me to, chapter 6, and then asked me a question to expect me to go through the entire chapter and find the solution, that was just something that my mind wasn't capable of, or I wasn't patient enough for, whatever that was. So what you're looking at here in the implementation calendar, when I click market dominating position, you hit that, boom, what you're going to see here is answers at the back of the book. So I've got A through J. So if I just open up A here, boom, open A. This is the answers at the back of the book. And this is literally step by step. You got to understand, we've been doing this collectively for, I don't know if it's it's over 100 years, right? We got coaches in 24 countries and over 900. We all work together to build all this intellectual property, and the roadmaps you see literally step by step. So now I'm going to go back, then reverse back for me, buddy. And then I go back, and then the next thing that we're going to handle after market dominating position, could you hit implementation again? Oh yeah, there we go. So leads, I just want like a different, there we go. Additional products and services, please. Boom, next. So that's just the next on the hit list, and you will see the answers at the back of the book here. So when our coaches, or when I am working with the business owner, I literally walk step by step with the business owner to put all this stuff in place. Whammo, bammo, thank you, memo. And then really importantly, what ends up happening is I create a report. The software creates a report. Once again, all the weighted algorithmic sequences go into work. Only 497 million of them, nothing serious. But effectively what's going to happen is we create a summary. And basically what's going to happen, actually just go up for me, buddy, to the 1 through 10 or whatever that was. Scroll down a little bit, please. I'll tell you when to stop. As an example, so next, the next bit. Yep, it's right here. So just up. Yep. So as an example, when we create a summary, you're going to see 1 through 16 here. And effectively, when I put together a marketing roadmap, there's some really, very important, there's a roadmap that I follow. Like as in number 1, I never want to be unique. So many businesses out there, like the Energizer Bunny, banging drums and that sort of stuff. If you interview 100 people and you ask them which battery has the bunny banging the drums, 50% of them say Duracell and 50% of them say Energizer. And the Energizer, they'd be pretty disappointed in that. So one of the things we got to do is we got to stay away from being unique. Number 2 is we want to be concise. everything we say is going to be very strategically. We're going to take big words and throw them out the window, be very, very straightforward. We're going to have nice, simple messaging that's going to work really, really well. Number three, we're never going to assume. We're going to take assumptions and throw them out the window because, again, assumptions are the enemy of marketing. We're going to target an audience next. Again, one of the most important things you need, you guys get what I'm doing. I'm going through, I wouldn't go through 1 through 16, but I would go through 1 through 4. But at the end of the day, what we're going to do, keep scrolling, buddy, please, Pat. Basically, what you do is populate a roadmap. The software goes through, and you're going to see how it's really highly intensive in numbers. Okay, so you're going to see when we put together a market dominating position, it's going to add $40,000 to their bottom line. Actually, it was actually $4,000 there. But anyway, so I'm going to go through some of these numbers. I'm going to talk about how it's very, heavily weighted towards numbers, action, getting things done. And then I would move into, then I go to ROI, please, Pat. And by the way, very importantly, I got to make sure, ultimately what we do as business coaches is we sell money at a discount. Okay. So, Brian, Dave, whoever I'm talking to, but Brian, if I had a 20, like a $20 bill and you had a 10 and I say, do you want to trade? The first thing you do is, am I full of crap? The second thing you do is look for social proof. And the third thing you do is do the transaction so bloody quick and make your eyes spin. And then you try do it a second time. And by the way, if you missed out on doing it, you'd say, would you be willing to do that? Right? So I'd go to that. So return on investment. We're here. So basically what we have to do is I got to make sure that when we're working with our clients, when we're working with your clients, depending upon JV or client or business, right? We're going to create a return on investment. You're going to be able to see here that, money at a discount, when I come in and I charge, say, $19.97 at my discounted amount, provided I can make them feel, why would you not spend $23,000 if it was going to represent $200,000 of profit? Once again, think of exchange, you get 20 for a 10. It's absolutely obvious. We sometimes do contingency agreements, and again, our software will work that out. But again, we like to, a lot of the money that we earn, we like to do it off of, contingency deals and profit sharing. Happy to make our money on the back end. Scroll up for me, please, buddy. So when a return on investment is very important. So when we're going to work with you, we want to make sure we're going to go through the entire process and we're going to find that, our coaching fees aren't going to equate. It's not going to be time, money at a discount, and we're not going to offer our coaching services because we don't want to work with somebody who's not, gaining massively. And then hit strategies for me, please, buddy. And another thing, so just imagine at the end of 12 months, I hit dentist turnkey. And imagine at the end of 12 months, if you're marketing, one of the things we want to make everything consistent. We want to make it, remember, we want to make it concise. We want to make it direct, targeted at a specific audience. And how would you like your marketing? Think of your website, your magazine, your, landing pages, your business cards, everything in your company looking this tight, this concise. Actually, I would have stopped halfway, Pat. Because you'll see once you get right there, boom. And I would go there because everything above that is totally consistent. So I would show them the consistent stuff. There's really good wording below, which is why we put it. But at the end of the day, stuff above this is really consistent. They're going to go, wow, I would love my marketing to look that consistent, because they confuse consistent with effective, by the way. But anyway, so I'd show them this and say, we charge, as an example, we charge $50,000 to build this marketing system. So imagine if you introduced me to a dentist, or I was working with your company, we have a $50,000 marketing system we can use to start the relationship. So at the end of 12 months, how would you like your marketing to look like this? Or at the end of 12 months, when I worked with your clients, how would you like their marketing to look like this? So that's effectively the way, and then I would look him in the eyes, or I would throw it back to him. And if I'm, again, body language, when you're communicating, 7% communication is verbal. The rest is all the other stuff, body language and tonality and, et cetera, et cetera. So if I'm sitting face to face, I'm really looking at your body language and I'm staring you in the eyes and really looking like two poker players staring at one another. And if I'm on the phone, which some people say that they suck on the phone, and that is something that you want to sort out for yourself, because, in coaching, if you can get really, really good on the phone, the magic that can happen. So Pat or Brian, if I'm doing this with you and you are on the phone, when I throw it back to you, I'm really how quickly do you answer? What kind of words? It's not really the words that you use, but are you using wow and oh my gosh, or are you using, reserved type questions and wording? Do you know what I mean? And the tonality and the volume of your voice and the speed of your voice. I'm really reading that to know where you're at, right? And then my next move, we're playing chess against one another. My next move is going to vary depending upon what you say and how you say it, etc. So I don't know, but that's basically how I would present the software. So I don't know, Pat, what do you think? How did I do, or anything you'd add? I left off financials, buddy, by the way. Whoops.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's amazing. So my advice to the coaches listening is go and get this recording, take notes, and just start practicing your close as well. So the close on this closing a client is so important. The more you practice it, the better you'll get, the more fluent you'll get. So yeah, very good.
Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. Okay, so Brian is here. He's asking, let me just, he said, I'll just use what you said. And then he went, LOL. Don't worry, Brian. All I did is I just went from left to right on the menu, to be honest with you. And that, like, I did that, you know what I mean, ad hoc, but I kind of just thought that made sense. Webinar, guys, I'm just reading his question. Give me a sec. Brian, so what Brian's asking is he's been asked to do a 30-minute micro webinar workshop, and he's wondering if he should use the software. And the answer is no, I would not. Okay, because my job is at the end of your presentation, curiosity is what you're looking for, because curiosity is going to get the appointment. So what I would do is I had 30 minutes. I'd very simply go through the presentation that we do and just use the focus group as an example, which is just like our live event. It's 2 hours and you've only got 30 minutes. So I would just, take it and, basically pull 30 minutes of content out of it. The content that I would use is the content that you're most familiar with. Like, Brian, you're an accountant. Okay. So for you to, not use that positioning because they're like, oh, wow, this guy's an accountant. That gives you credibility. And he knows lots about marketing. Like, how many accountants know a lot about marketing? And the answer is very few. So when you do, finance and accounting and then bring marketing into it, they go, wow, this guy's got superpowers. But anyway, so I would do that. And then I would close them with, and when Pat showed you the replays of those calls earlier, you said, like, how I can't remember what it was, but basically how Carl would close from the stage, what have you. Basically, one of these calls just flipped through the notes that Pat's created. But basically what I do is I say, well, look, at this stage, like after the presentation, and you'll have to do it quick because you only got 30 minutes. But at this stage, what I hear all the time is everybody says, gee, I wish it was my business that you were up there going through. Like, you went through the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, but I'm a chiropractor and I wish you went through, chiropractic and only chiropractic. So what they'd like to do is so then they say, well, I wish it was mine. So here's my opportunity for you guys and only you guys. And this offer blows up when I walk off this stage. If you guys would like, I will book 90 minutes. I guarantee I can find anybody in this business or in this room, or on this webinar, $100,000 in 45 minutes without you spending an extra dollar in marketing or advertising. In fact, what I actually say is that I'll find you 10 grand in 45 minutes. But truth be told, I've never sat with a single person and not found them 100 grand. Again, understand that I'm an accountant and I've got a numbers background, or I've got this software and it provides me superpowers. So I will comfortably find you 100 grand, and I do not care what your revenues were last year. Literally, I've done it with people that made 15 grand last year, and I can still find them $100,000. I know that sounds remarkable, but you'll just have to go through the process. So what I've got in front of you is a yellow card. I want you to fill that out, put your name. I grab my pen and I grab my paper if I'm in a live room, and I start filling it out. That's an NLP XYZ there, because I start filling it out, you start filling it out. And I just basically fill it out to the bottom. I just highlight the areas on the sheet, or I say, click this link. And then I click the link and I go through and I say, fill this out. And I go through each of the sections, I just go to the landing page and say, put your name here, and then put your email address here. And then, just start doing it with your own computer. And then just click the submit button. And what we will do is we will get together for a one-to-one meeting, and I will book 90 minutes. It'll only take me 45, but I'll book 90 minutes with you. And again, I'll find you 100 grand in 45 minutes. I normally charge some pretty big bickies to do this process, but Dave invited me in, or you took the time to come to my event, or give them a reason, always a reason frame. But for that reason, I'm going to do it at no charge. So, but if you don't book today, when you go there tomorrow, this page will no longer be there, or You got to be careful with that because if you say it, you got to do it. But anyway, but a little bit of scarcity, right? So again, or even actually maybe what I would have done is said, but I can only do it for 10 of you. I'm willing to do it at no charge, but I'm only willing to do it for 10 of you. And by the way, there's 50 here, so I'm going to have a line. So go to this page, fill it out immediately. If you're one of the first 10, I'm going to do it at no charge. If you're number 60 or number 38, I'll still do it, but you're just going to have to pay my fees. So get on it, get there quick, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Goodbye. So, Brian, curiosity is what was missing. So I would have mentioned the software in my close there a little bit, but again, I'm going to find you $100,000 in 45 minutes. So by going through the software during that 30-minute presentation, you would have been missing out on an enormous amount of curiosity. Is effectively what happened there. So kind of freestyled that once again, but I hope that helps. Cool. Brian says, thanks, Carol. Just one sec. Or would you use what you just said? Yeah. That Brian, just the way I spelled it out is exactly what I would do. What was that link? I didn't. Darren's asking, what was that? Actually, let me just open them up and make sure. Darren, coming for you, man. You're self-muted, buddy. Darren, if you could open yourself up, make sure I understand the question. There you go. Darren, you're live, buddy.
Actually, yeah, just this one. I was just curious on that link to go take a look at this.
Okay, yeah. This link here. Oh, I see.
Yeah, the VIP.
Have a look at
PAS calls.
VIP/PAS dash calls. Where is that, Pat? Is that on? Is this? This is just Coach's Marketing Center, right?
I think you have to log in through your e-learning system to get there, but I believe so.
Coach's Marketing Center, guys. So you just go to if you go to no results no fee /VIP, you're going to put in your password, and it's going to have PAS calls, and that's where you'll find PAS calls.
Yep, perfect. Thank you very much.
No worries, buddy. I thought you were actually asking for the link that I meant for Brian for the thing above. So there you go. Good thing I opened you up. Cool, man. Thanks, buddy. Oh, thanks for that, buddy. I'm gonna put you back on mute, all right? Oh, there he is, back on mute. Dave's got a question. Dave, you're self-muted, my friend.
Dave always has a question.
Yeah, he's good value. Fellow Canuck. Come on, Davey boy, you're muted, my friend. Or muted by the organizer. How does that work? Okay, so there he is. Dave, you're live, bud.
I was trying it. So if number 11 signs up, do you really charge them?
At the end of the day, it's, let's face it, it's, you know what I mean? That's
if number 50 signs up.
That's an answer I can't give, Dave. That one's up to you, man. But look, more than 10, like you want to make your number sound big.
I know.
You know what I mean? So, maybe you say 20 and look, at the end of the day, man, because you don't like the 197, you don't want that to get in the way of a $12,000 to $24,000 sale, right?
Exactly.
So I remember for years and years, like, I do the, I'd call them marketing boot camps, but at the end of the day, what we know is focus groups now, right? And, all kinds of people, you should charge, and look, if you charged $197, look at how much money you would have made over the course of the year. And then very importantly, because I was putting on, really good venues and really good spreads, lots of food and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, gosh, look at the difference. But I'm like, yeah, but if like, look at it this way, right? Like if it costs you $1,000 to do an event, and let's say everything screws up and you get one client at $1,000 a month, logically that's a $12,000 sale. Like, if you go to the stock market, would you exchange 1,000 for 12,000? Clearly that's painfully obvious, right? Like you've really got to look at your business as an investment, right? You got to become Jeff, channel your inner Jeff Bezos, right? And he's not the, richest man on the planet or wherever he's at now, for no reason, right? He goes up and down or whatever, but the guy's worth, more money than he could ever dream of spending in 17 lifetimes. And the reason is because he approaches his business like the stock market, and he doesn't, Warren Buffett says he doesn't invest in a company that he doesn't want to keep for 10 years. And Jeff Bezos doesn't build a product for his company or invest in a unit of his company that he doesn't see being around for 10 years. And no, he is not always right, much like Warren Buffett is not always right with his stock picks. But that's the attitude that he takes, and you want to take the same approach. So, and I know this is more for everybody else, Dave, but no doubt you get the idea, right? And by the way, if you get 3 clients, if that one individual wouldn't have come because you're charging $197 a month, when you do your numbers, you might look better in one area with your financials, but you're going to look significantly worse in the other area where you missed out on these $12,000 to $24,000 sales because your numbers were lower, right? So that's the answer.
I've kind of struggled with that a little bit. Are you familiar with a company by the name of Integrated Business Analysis?
I feel like I've heard that name, but
it was
go
based
further.
in Chicago.
Like, what is it?
It was based in Chicago, and I worked with them 20 years ago, and they were all about that. But they charged like $500 to $1,500 for basically what we're doing, and it was fairly successful. So sometimes I've wrestled with that, but
they charge what? Wait for the one-to-one consultation or the live event or the what or the
no for basically what we do, our PAS. They would charge, they would depend on the company, anywhere between $500 and $1,500.
Actually, so that's different than what I just described. So actually, I think that's worth going through. So when I did my marketing boot camps, I did actually pitch it because I figured if you're not going to pay me 100, I think it was 147. I think sometimes I do it for 97, but the stock price would be 147 that I would do it for. But what I would say is that so at 147 bucks, sometimes I got them to pay at the back of the room, but I often didn't, just depend on dynamics and credit card machines and everything else, right? We're doing a lot of these things, some moving parts. So, but I did pitch it from the front of the room that I'm going to charge $147. But then what I said is if I don't deliver 10 times the value of what you charge, then I would give you your money back.
Yeah.
So like I didn't even charge them. And then it was only going to be 147. It wasn't even payable until after I was done. And of course, everybody signed up for a $10,000 coaching program because they just did.
Exactly.
So basically, nobody ended up paying 147. But I did charge 147, and that's the way that I closed it because my attitude was that if they're not going to pay 147 to get together 1-to-1, the chances of them spending 10 grand are really remote. And no doubt, I got you know what I mean? Like what I described earlier, if I would have done it for free, I would have got into a couple extra, living rooms or boardrooms or offices. But that's the way I did it. So I don't disagree with that. So.
Yeah, that's basically what Terry Levine's doing. She charges the $97 just to separate them out and that. So
there you go. Okay. So I hope that helps, buddy. What do you think?
Yep. Cool. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. Going to put you back on mute, buddy. Stuff. Greg, Kel,
Carl.
Pat, you gonna say something, bud? Yep.
Yeah, another way you might think about it is on a registration page, you can ask for their annual revenues, and you have some drop-down options maybe. And if someone's coming in, they're making annual revenues of $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. Like you just don't want those people as a client because no matter what you offer them, they're not going to afford it. And you want people who are actually getting some success right away. So you can always put a restriction on the kind of people you give a free analysis to. Yeah,
there you go. That's a good idea. There you go. Yep. Perfect. There we go. Who are we coming for here? Where'd he go? Hang on. I was trying to open up somebody. Who was that? Whoever had their hand up. Oh, they seem to have disappeared. Okay, that's all right. Randy, we are coming for you. And whoever just had their hand up, they appear to have disappeared. Put it back up and I'll come to you. Randy, you are self-muted, my friend. Unmute yourself. There you are. You're live, Randy.
Hey, how are you?
Fabulous, man. What's happening?
Good. I'm the new guy on the block. I think I signed up last week, if I'm not mistaken. So it's fire hose, but all good stuff. So yeah, basically, I think we kind of touched on it just a little bit, but the idea being, I'm thinking from a hook perspective, $197 for the consult, and I'll double your money back if I can't find it $10,000, during that time frame.
Perfect.
So sounds like
perfect.
That's good.
There you go. Yeah. And again, and Randy, like, I know because you're new, like 10 grand, believe me, you're not going to sit with anybody and not find them 100 grand. Once you really understand the process and do what Pat's constantly screaming on these calls, but that's practice by yourself going through it, you're going to see that, oh my gosh, right? Like, actually, Pat, what did we talk about the other day where you did a 3%, what was it? Do you remember 3% in each of the 12 came to a templated number? Remember what that was?
I forget where that was, but basically 3% gives you 3% over 12 areas gives you 121% overall impact.
That's it. Yeah. So Randy, just as a framework in your own head, right? Like 120, like 3 and 12 will be 121. So it'd be pretty easy to find somebody 100 grand.
Well, I just ran my own real estate business through it, and I'm like, I just touched on 2 different categories. And I'm like, there's the money right there, just from a business owner perspective, signing up for for your program is worth it, even if I have no intention of coaching other people for profit.
That's what we want to hear, Randy. That's dude. Yeah. We're gonna keep him, Pat. Let's bring Randy live every time we do one of these calls, man. That's what we want to hear. Now, hey, so Randy, you've got some experience in real estate. We talked about that earlier, and I gave Christine some. Did you hear what I was talking to Christine about? Anything that you would agree with, disagree with, expand on?
I got on a little late, unfortunately, but no, I mean, so I didn't catch that. I can't add.
That's cool. You want to go that anyway? There was some good stuff about real estate, but anyway. Oh, good, man. All right, Randy, high five, man. Awesome having you on board, man. Appreciate you participating.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. And to be clear, Randy's advice is, just offer like a double your money back guarantee, right? Of course, we've all heard that one. And like I said, I find, actually, Pat, I'd like to know your opinion on that. Like sometimes I can come across, I don't know, cheesy is the right word, but right, you start doing double your money back, triple your money back. You know what? It's like, sometimes it's like, no, I'm going to charge you $200. I'm going to deliver. If you don't think I'm going to deliver, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? But like, I'm literally here telling you, I'm going to find you 100 grand in 45 minutes. You kind of follow me there. What's your interpretation of like double your money back and whatnot? Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And what would you say?
Yeah, I like the concept. I mean, the first time I heard of a double your money back was one of these big internet marketing guys was doing an event, and it was $5,000, and if you weren't happy at the end of the event, you get double your money back. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And
how was it?
I think they had like hundreds of people coming in, and they had like 2 people ask for money back or something, but they made so much money off of it. So I think for some people, like they're really afraid of risk. They've been burned so many times, and if you can just come alongside of them and show empathy as you say it and say, look, I know you might be afraid of risk. I know you might have been burned before. And I realize that in any business situation, one party's always asked to take on more risk than the other. And I want to take that risk upon myself so you don't have to bear any of it. So I'm just willing to do this. Normally my charge is $197 for doing a profit, like a jump start and evaluation of your company. But let me do this for you. If I can't find you at least $10,000 of low-hanging fruit that you could easily implement, listen, I'm not just going to give your money back. I'll just double it back because I don't want you to walk away and feel nervous about anything. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, love it.
A little bit, and they can't say no to that because, of course it sounds fair.
I think but Pat, what you did, and you do this very organically because it's your personality, but like the empathy component of it, right? Like I don't think people think that, consciously or like, you know what I mean? Like strategically about, look, I don't want to just say I'm going to double your money back guarantee, but I'm going to do it in a meaningful way because I give a crap and I understand that, one person's got to take the risk. So how about it's my turn? You know what I mean? So I think that's an important part, but agreed. Randy's just said here that it's a staple. If you know Dan Kennedy, guys, most of you would know. And if you don't, he's a absolute legend in our world. He's not in the greatest of health right now, but again, so he screams from the mountaintops, and what Dan Kennedy says, I normally do. So there you go. And for those listening, I think this is, again, remember, business is just math. Okay. It's really important to understand. So let's just do a money back guarantee for the sake of the argument. Like if I offer a money back guarantee, and then I close 10 people over 12 months as a result of my money back guarantee, and then let's assume 2 people come back, ask for their money back, which normally never happens, by the way, but let's just say that you get a bad result and a couple of charlatans come in, screw you, you know, blah, 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 really take advantage of you, ask for their money back, but you're +8, right? And when you do your math at the end of the year, you're going to be so far, but let's assume it's 10 grand for the sake of the argument. So you lost 20, but gained 80. Like, again, if I took you to the casino in Vegas, or we took you to the stock market with those types of odds, let's go to the casino, right? Like, again, 2 are going to take advantage of you, but you're going to get an extra 8 wins. Are you going to take it? And the answer is absolutely. Okay, why do I go over that? Remember, if you do Tony Robbins, I've often said, money master the game. If you want to be wealthy, your clients want to be wealthy, somebody you know wants to be wealthy, money master the game, in my opinion, is an absolute must read. And then if you read it in true Tony Robbins fashion, what you're going to find is that 80% of the book is about psychology. And then why? Because, you know, managing money is about psychology, managing like the guy that I said earlier, when he's going to go and buy a house on emotion, he's probably not going to be the greatest real estate investor. And I know that sounds so obvious as I say it, but go have a look and see how many people buy on emotion out there, right? So basically, you got to just manage those emotions. So when somebody takes advantage of you and you start kicking the table and kicking the chair and, you know, mad as heck, like, you got to think of the +8, not the -2, you know, manage your psychology that way. When somebody takes advantage of you, I mean, I hope that's pretty obvious, but you just got to manage it. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, what do? You got to take emotion for the most part out of business. Why? Because again, it's math. So anyways, I think that's an important thing to be realizing, guys. You got to manage that psychology. Anyways, all right. Well, Pat, my man, we are at the end. We have no questions lined up anyway, so I hope that was helpful for everybody. Pat, any closing words or closing thoughts or comments here before we go, my friend?
Well, just let's hammer it again. Let's just go and practice this. And you guys practice. We'll make a deal here. You guys practice it, and I'll keep making it better.
Boom. There we go. Everyone just put up their hand. There you go. Raise your hand if you're in agreement. There we go. Ping, 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 ping. All right. Awesome. Pat, we appreciate you, dude. You were a talented son of a gun. Everybody here, we appreciate you guys. We most definitely appreciate your participation and your excellent questions, your excellent feedback, comments, etc. So, yeah, where are we here? What day is it, Pat? Thursday, right? Okay, so it's Thursday. We will see you guys next Tuesday. So, appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you next week.